Although the Penn State and Iowa duel was postponed due to the virus, due to Iowa shutting down the program temporarily as a safeguard against the virus, I still wanted to talk about what would have happened in the Penn State and Iowa duel. So in this segment of what if, what would have happened, maybe you followed me on the channel and watched what would have happened in the 2020 NCAA championships, the whole series I put together last year on every single weight, and now I want to bring that again this year, the what if topic, to the Penn State and Iowa duel. So what would have happened? And first of all, I have to say, there needs to be a tri-meet between Michigan, Iowa, and Penn State. Make it happen. I want to find out who is the real Big Ten champion in college wrestling this year. Now, going into this, let's assume full best lineups, and to some extent. Like right now, Greg Kirkfleet is unfortunately not going to be wrestling the rest of the season. Just came out, actually just before the show, that Kel Sanderson said that we're not going to see Kirkfleet the rest of the season. And so that is unfortunate. And so for that reason, I'm leaving him out of these lineups. So what would have happened with Iowa and Penn State? Now, last year, I called this duel pretty darn close. I actually had I believe it was like the exact same score right if the Mark Hall and Michael Kemmer upset did not happen. Everybody called me crazy. He said, Josiah, you're an idiot. There's no way Penn State could beat Iowa last year. There's absolutely no way. Could it happen this year? Could it have happened this year if they did wrestle this weekend? It was supposed to happen. At 125 pounds, Robbie Howard. So Penn State actually hasn't had a start at 125 pounds in their first couple of duels. So that's kind of unfortunate. Robbie Howard's supposed to be starting for the Nittany Lions at 125 pounds against Spencer Lee. Now, although Howard, there's a lot of excitement around him, and there has been excitement about many guys in the Penn State lineup. With Carter Sirachi, there's been excitement about him. Unfortunately, he lost his first match. There's been excitement about a lot of these. Craig Kirkfleet, but guess what? Unfortunately, he's not wrestling this season. And then Robbie Howard at 125. Penn State has been plagued at 125 pounds, unfortunately, due to many circumstances with Nick Suriano, with Gavin Teasdale. Just haven't had a great 125-pounder. So how would Howard do against Spencer Lee? Even with all the hype behind him, I'm sorry, he's not beating Spencer Lee. And I don't think anybody would necessarily say that. I don't know. But Spencer Lee is the guy this year. He has 100% bonus point percentage, 4 pins this year. Nobody's touching him. Nobody's touching him. And sorry, but even as a Penn State fan, that includes Robbie Howard. Even if Penn State didn't have a 25-pounder and they gave up the 6, it really wouldn't matter. They're going to have to do what he's going to have to try to do his job, maybe get teched instead, but Spencer Lee's just a pinner this year. RBY and Austin Santo at 133. This is always a fun one between these guys every single time that they wrestle. So the series is tied 2-2, and yes, I'm counting the injury default. Some people don't count the injury default in the duel last year. I count it, okay? It's tied 2-2. If you don't count it, then DeSanto's up in the series 2-1. Austin Santos has been killing it this season with 100% bonus, but RBY is also undefeated. His last 2 wins has the last 2 wins over Austin DeSanto, and I would love to see this happen this year. And I'm sure we're going to get it at the Big Ten championships, or at the very least at the NCAA championships. I mean, I hope for it. But if this happened in the duel, what would happen? I don't think that I don't know exactly what happened with RBY in the duel, what made him so crazy and able to potentially pin DeSanto twice in that duel. I don't think that would necessarily happen in the duel again, even though the duel was supposed to take place in State College. But I do give RBY the win. I don't think he's going to score bonus. He didn't score bonus at Big Tens against him. So I give RBY the win with 3 points, making the score 6-3 in favor of Iowa. And at 141, who takes it? This is the huge matchup. I mean, 141 pounds is wild in the Big Ten. With Seabass, with Nick Lee, with Jaden Ironman. And now Ironman has the last win over Nick Lee at the 2018, where he had a major decision, 12-4 over Nick Lee. Ironman, the 3-time All-American, to Nick Lee's 2-time All-American. Both of these guys undefeated this season. Nick Lee just killing it right away. And has been crushing it in bonus point and has been last year, right? Remember the duels that he had last year and the crazy duel he had against Luke Pletcher, which I did not expect that to happen with Nick Lee against Luke Pletcher. And Nick Lee had just been improving so much in that time since he's wrestled Jaden Ironman. And because of that, like just due to his recent track record, I have to actually give this match to Nick Lee. I think that he would find a way to beat Jaden Ironman, especially if it was at home in State College. And there's always a crazy upset, right? No, I'm not saying 100% this would happen, but that's what I think would happen in this match. So 3 points for Nick Lee, tied 6-6. Verclearen at 49 against Max Murin, or it could be Barraclaw, or it could be Luke Gardner. Penn State's not really deciding what they're doing at 149 pounds this year yet. They're kind of been circulating a bunch of different guys. And no matter who it is, Murin and Verk, like these guys haven't wrestled because Murin, of course, is bumping up from 41 to 49. Now, Verclearen last year, he wrestled against Pat Lugo of the Iowa Hawkeyes, who he had a close loss to 6-1. A close match, but he did lose. And Verclearen always does keep it pretty close. So I don't think that I'm assuming Verclearen's going to be wrestling here. Maybe Kale pulled somebody else out, thought somebody else would wrestle, but Murin has just been on fire recently. And I'll be the first to say I did doubt him. I doubted him against Brock Hardy. I doubted him against Michael Blockus. I doubted him against Mikey Carr. I did. And he pulled it off every single time in a dominant fashion. And so I'm not doubting him here. Max Murin, I believe, would get the win. He even had a great match against Sammy Sasso just the other week. And yeah, he got pinned. He ended up getting pinned in the third period, but it was a pretty good match before that. 4-1 so far in the season is Max Murin. Now, at 57, Berge and Young. What would happen here? I think this is a very interesting matchup between these guys. Berge, number 11 in the country. Caleb Young, number 5 in the country. Berge, the junior, to Caleb Young's senior. So this is very interesting to see, what happened in this duel, because Berge was out last season with the injury. Caleb Young's been, didn't have the best end of the season, but this year has been looking on fire. And there's usually an upset in every duel. Well, I think Caleb Young is the favorite here, and especially is the favorite on paper. Just recently it had the win over Brayton Lee and sudden victory. Just looked good there. I'm really interested to see how Brady Berge is going to do this season. And I think that this may be the upset that he can pull. So right now, going into 165 pounds, halfway through the duel, we are actually tied up. We're tied up 9-9. 9-9. And please, before I get into 65, drop a comment. Let me know who you think would win this duel. Is it Iowa? Is it Penn State? Who wins? Jolie and Alex Marinelli. Redshirt freshman versus senior. Jolie, so much potential. Has been looking good. Marinelli, not a huge bonus point scorer, but he can pull off the occasional crazy pin. Can definitely pull that stuff off. But Alex Marinelli, who does pull off, he just pulls off wins. And both these guys are undefeated. And yeah, I guess the last time, Marinelli wrestled Vincenzo Joseph when Vincenzo was returning NCAA champion. Marinelli was the freshman, and he pulled off the upset over Vincenzo. So it's possible, but the Bull has a chip on his shoulder this year. Nobody's going to take that from him. And because of that, I have to give it to not Julie, but Alex Marinelli. Number 2 in the country, Alex Marinelli, is who I give the win to in this duel. Carter Sirachi and Michael Kemmerer. Now, I've said it before that this could have been an upset in the duel. I said this really early on in the season. I didn't say this yesterday. I didn't say this last week. I didn't say this 2 weeks ago. I said this a while ago that maybe this could be the upset. However, with recent turning of events, with watching Sirachi wrestle in college, I watched him at the Scuffle, watched him wrestle last year in his redshirt year, but Kemmerer compared to Sirachi this year, Kemmer is just, he's the guy, right? He's rolling through people 4-0. He had a close one against Ohio State, but he ultimately did pull it off. Sriracha's kind of been struggling to pick up a little bit of speed. I would have liked to see a little bit more, urgency, bonus point scoring from him since that earlier loss in the season that he started out with. And because of that, even though he is still a top 10 ranked wrestler, I have to give this match to Kemmer, not only by decision, but by bonus points. I believe that Kemmer would win this match by a major decision. He's going to show up for the Hawkeyes here. He's going to get the, what little Hawkeye fans there would have been at Penn State, cheering. So I give this duel to Michael Kemmer by a major decision. Aaron Brooks and Nelson Brands at 184. 3 weights left, and I'll tell you the final prediction here. It's still very close. Although Iowa just picked up those last two duels. Aaron Brooks and Nelson Brands. This is a pretty anticipated match. Pretty anticipated match going into the Big Ten championships for sure. Is going to be Aaron Brooks and Nelson Brands, because Nelson Brands has stepped onto the scene this year as an exciting young guy, and Aaron Brooks, although he is a Big Ten champion, didn't get his chance at the NCAA championships last year due to it being canceled, has a 100% bonus point this season, 3-0, and majored Chris Weiler, a top 10 ranked wrestler of Wisconsin. Nelson Brands 3-2 with a loss to Lion of Purdue and Zach Bronigal, but wins over Taylor Venz by major decision, which I think that's the big thing that everybody's looking at is he actually, he majored Venz at the beginning of the year, beat Rocky Jordan. And the thing is, they are both young guys, so maybe Brands could pull it off. But based on their performances this year so far and what each guy, I think that Nelson Brands is still somebody who can get on the stand this year. But to me, Aaron Brooks is somebody who can win it. And I think he would beat Nelson Brands. I don't necessarily know he'd beat him by major decision or anything like that. And I mean, maybe he could pull off a pin, maybe, but I struggle to say that, and because of that, I give him just a win by decision. Michael Beard and Warner, Warner, the All-American, Major Singletary, 11-1 against Ohio State. His only loss is to Eric Schultz, who I said can be a national champion. I said he can be a national champion from Nebraska. He's now the number 1 ranked wrestler with the recent events at 197 pounds with Noah Adams losing. Beard is kind of new to the scene. He only wrestled on the Wisconsin tour. He had a tech fall. He's been looking good in the offseason, with freestyle and wrestling in the freestyle scene. It's tough to say, but, he had a great first period, and it's hard to judge him off of that one match. I give Warner the win here, given the 3. Neville's and Cassiope. Now, the last time that this happened, the last time that these two wrestled, it came down to Neville's and Cassiope. And what happened, unfortunately for Penn State fans, Cassiope pulled off the win. Now, Cassiope's just been crushing guys this season. Crushing guys. Just pinned Orndorff of Ohio State. Had pinned Luke Luffman. And he's looking good. Didn't look great against Gable Steveson, but that's Gable Steveson. Now, because there's no Kirkfleet this year, Neville is somebody who's kind of stepped in for Penn State at this weight. He's still a solid wrestler, a great wrestler, but unfortunately, he had to step in for Kassar last year, who was injured, who is the returning national champion. He's stepping in for the number 1 ranked recruit in Greg Kirkfleet, and he's doing a good job, but his performance in the duel last year that came down to him, it was 17-16. When Penn State was up, all he had to do was pull off the win, and Cassiope ended up beating him. I believe it was 7-zip. He beat him pretty good, close to a major, but not quite. Ended up beating him, gave Iowa Hawkeyes the win in the last match of the duel. And so I think Cassiope would win he would win by a regular decision again. Nick Neville's has improved. And so what's the final prediction? Does that mean Penn State's going to win this year, even with those good matches? Even with RBY, Nick Lee, Brooks winning, and Berge pulling off the upset, it's not enough for Penn State this year. I struggle to find a way this year for Penn State. Iowa wins it. I have 22-12. Even though I'm a Penn State fan, it's tough to argue how dominant the Iowa Hawkeyes are this season. What do you think? What is your score prediction? Drop it in the comments down below. If you like this clip and are looking for more wrestling news and discussion, I recommend that you check out the full Fanco Wrestling Show podcast, which is live on this YouTube channel every single week. You can click here to subscribe to be notified of new and upcoming videos, or you can check out the Fanco Wrestling Show on your favorite podcasting platform to listen on the go. Stop stalling and start listening today.